What's cracking, everyone? My name is Eric, and we're finally back again with the scripting tutorial series. So in this video, we are going to take a look at string patterns in Roblox Studio. Now, this is a bit of a complicated topic in that it gets a bit complicated later on, but to start off with, it's going to be somewhat understandable, so I'm going to split this into a few episodes, also because there's so much to talk about. You don't need a lot of prior scripting knowledge to be able to follow this tutorial, and it also won't be needed for much, so if you don't understand everything about it, then don't worry. But yeah, let's open up a script and talk about what string patterns actually are. So string patterns, also known as string matching, is something we use when we want to search through a text for something. Now, in scripting, a text is basically a variable which has a string value. For example, if I make a variable called text and I say set it to Eric has 25 blue gems, then this is going to be my text. Now, with string patterns or string matching, I can actually search through this text to check if a certain keyword is there or to get a certain value from it. For example, let's say that I want to get this value right here, 25, and I want to add 5 to it. I can't just say text plus 5 because then it sees this as a whole text, and it's obviously going to give me an error because you can't add numbers to text. So all we need to do is we actually need to use string matching to find the number in this text, which is 25, then only take this part out of the text and then add 5 to that, so that you get a new variable, which is only the part you want from the text. So to put it simply, string matching is basically like searching through a text or something. So let's take a look at how we actually start doing string matching. So to actually perform a string match, it's pretty simple. You write a variable first, which is going to be your match. So I'm going to say local match, and then you say equal to, and then you don't write a certain part of the text. That's not the point of this. You write string dot match, and you'll notice it gives you an empty pair of parentheses. So you have this string dot match method right here, which is saved to a variable which we call match. I'll talk about why we actually need to save it to a variable in a bit, but for now, let's just focus on the string.match part, because this is the part that actually does the string matching, as you've probably guessed. So when we do a string match, we need to give it two values. The first is obviously the text that we want to search through. You can write this just like text. You can write like plain text, just like this. Eric has 25 blue gems. However, what you normally do is you already have it saved to a variable, like I have right here with text. So I'm just going to say text, then comma, and then my second variable here is going to be the pattern that I use to search it through. So I haven't actually made any variable for my pattern yet, so I'm just going to write it plain text. So let's talk about the pattern. The pattern is what you the pattern is what you tell the string match to search for. Whatever we put in this pattern, it will search for in the text. The pattern is also just another text, right? So it's like text matches with text. But yeah, now these patterns can get all kind of complicated, but it actually starts very simple by doing direct matches. So let's start by looking at that. For example, let's say that we want to match the word gems and only that. So to search for just a specific word, you just type the word like that. And this is going to be my pattern. So now I've made the pattern to be gems. This means that it will literally search for anywhere in the text where it says gems. And now here's the part where we need the variable. If the string matching finds a variable, if the string matching finds a match, which it should do in this case, it will take that match and only this match and save that to the variable you gave it. So what should happen now is we search through the text, like we said right here, and we search it for anywhere it says gems. Now, because it does say gems at the end, what we should expect is that it matches with gems, and because it matches with the keyword gems, it saves that to the match variable. So this means that we can actually print our match variable, and what we should expect to see is that it prints out the words gems. And if I just take a look at view here and open my output console, you can see that it says gems right there. Now, if it doesn't find any match, don't worry, it won't give you an error. What will simply happen is that it gives you the nil value. Now, the nil value, actually I haven't talked about this before, But the nil value is basically a value, which means that there is no value. So when it doesn't find anything, or when you just have nothing there, you have the nil value. So if I say print match again, and this time I change the text to, let's say that I want to search for the word diamonds, what we should expect to see is that it gives us nil, because the pattern that we are searching for doesn't exist in the text. As you can see, we actually have the nil output here. So what happens is that this time we search not for the gems keyword, but we search for diamonds. Now it doesn't say diamonds anywhere in the text, so obviously it doesn't find anything, which means that it gives us nil and prints a nil, as you just saw. Now let's talk about the next thing, character classes. Now this is all pretty cool, but simply searching for direct words is usually not gonna cut it alone. You're probably gonna need more powerful forms of patterns, and that's where we have character classes. Let's say that I want to search for whatever number is here, not the number 25, just whatever number I have right here. Now what I could do is I could search for 25. And that would, I'm not going to place this because you can imagine that this would print 25 because it found 25. However, if I change this to, for example, 37, then it won't match anymore. It doesn't find 25 in the text anymore. And that's not what I want to do. I don't care if the number right here is 25. I just want to make sure, I just want to know what number is up here. I want to, basically, the point is that often you might want to match with whatever number you have up here, regardless of what number that is. So I can't just write 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because then it will look for these 10 digits in a row. That doesn't work. The point is I want to search for a number in this place, no matter what that number is. And for that, we have character classes. With character classes, instead of searching for one specific keyword or one character like 25 or 2, let's just say 2 for this example, what you can do is you can search for several characters at once. So instead of searching, for example, for only a 1 or only a 7 or like that, you can search for, you can just ask it if there is any number. This sounds a little confusing, so I'm just going to switch to the article about string patterns right here. By the way, this will be in the description as always, so if you want to check it out, feel free to do so for itself. It has pretty much everything you need to know about string patterns, and we'll also be covering all of this, but for now, let's focus on the character classes. You can see that we have a list of character classes, 11 of them to be specific, and each has a description. You can see that each class has a certain keyword. It's usually percent and then some certain letter which identifies it. The only exception to this is the dot character, which we'll talk about a bit later because it's a bit special. But let's take a look at, for example, the percent a character class. We notice that the keyword for the character class is percent a, and then we see what it represents. And we can see that it represents an uppercase or lowercase letter. So basically it represents any letter. So this means that, for example, if I can type E in here and it will search only for E's, or I can type A and it will only search for A's. But if I type, for example, %A, I've now used the %A character class, which means that it won't just search for E or A, it will search for any letter. And you can see that we have a bunch of other character classes like this. And if you're a sharpite, you might have noticed that the character classes we need for my example is the %D character class. Now, if you take a look at it, it says %D, and then it says any digit number, and then it has some example matches. This means that the %D character class will match with any number, no matter what number or digit it is. Or rather, digit is more precise, but I'm just going to say number to keep it simple. So this means that instead of just searching for 25 or 37, we can now say %D and it will search for any number. So let's say, for example, Eric has 8 blue gems. And because I use the character classes which searches for digits, and 8 is a digit, you'll see that it actually matches with 8, even though it didn't search for 8 specifically. I hope that makes sense. Once again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. But yeah, I hope that makes sense at least. And just to show that it searches for any digit, if I change this to 5, you'll notice that if I also place that, it will still show me 5 because that is also a digit which it matches for. Now, there's one issue with this because to show this, we simply need to go back to my example of Eric has 25 blue gems. So if I place this right here, what we should see, or what you may think we should see, is 25. However, you can see that it only matches with 2. And that's to do with how character classes work. Because as you notice, the only thing I did was I added one more character, or to be more precise, I added one more length to the number. However, the thing is, even though that character classes match with a bunch of different characters, they once they find a match, they only match with one character. So basically, it searches through the text. It goes ERIK, so on, so on, so on, and then it reaches the number 2. And this is a match. Now, because it's found a match and it's not told to match with anything else, it's just told to match with the %D character class, it just matches with the number 2 and calls that a day. So it returns the digit 2 to the match and doesn't go any further. So what you could do is you could actually write %D to match one to match several characters in a row, and you'll notice that that works. However, you're often gonna have cases where you basically don't know the length of the number, and you can just write %D, %D, because that gets inconvenient. So yeah, that's one thing you have to be aware of with character classes, is that they only match with one character. There is actually a way to go to deal with this problem, made specifically in string patterns, but that's for a later video called. If you're interested in it, if you want to look it up for yourself, it's this part about class modifiers. Yeah. Anyway, as the last thing of this video, I wanted to talk about reverse, or not reverse, whatever you want to call it. Let's talk about the dot character class and also, basically inverted character classes. So, the dot character class, why is it so special? Well, honestly, it just works like any other character class. However, the reason why it's put above everyone else is that this one matches all characters. Like, if you have a text. If you have a text which is just not this, like nothing in it, then this dot character will always find a match. So yeah, basically the dot character class, it's nothing special. It's just that this one is the most powerful character class if you want to match it. You can see it matches with any character. Unlike all other character classes, they have some things they match with, some things they don't. But this one, it matches with everything else. Now, I also talked about some inverse character classes. They're not actually called this. But that is because that's basically because it's basically a way to inverse character classes, so I'm calling it that. Now you notice that we can actually just read this blue pop-up box here to see what I mean. You can see it says for single letter character classes, for example, %A, %S, or %D, the corresponding uppercase letter represents the opposite of the class. So what this means is that %D, this will obviously match for any digit. However, if I say %D, but with a capital D, then it will match with everything except digits. And this goes for any character class with letters. So if I say %A with the small a, or rather lowercase a, it will match with any letter. However, if I write % and then an uppercase a, it will match with everything except letters. So that's another way to use character classes if you want everything except something. You just write the uppercase character class. Anyway, with that said, that's what I have for this video. As you've probably seen, there is a lot to come over, but don't worry. If you understand like character classes roughly, then the rest is actually going to be coming somewhat smooth, and hopefully it's going to be a little less intimidating. Either way, as I said, yeah, there are probably going to be about 2 more videos on this topic, but that's it for this video. That was the introduction to string patterns. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you learned something. And as always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Anyway, thanks for watching and goodbye.